As the prayers intensify, the atmosphere begins to change, and the presence of the tortoise within the calabash gradually weakens. Finally, with a burst of light, the calabash shatters and the tortoise disappears. Suddenly, Ada is seen running into the compound, shouting, "Fire! Fire! Fire is burning me! I will confess! I will confess!" She began to confess. Once upon a time, in a small village in Nigeria, there lived a very rich man named Chief Obi. He was married to Olamma, and they were blessed with 2 sons, Lotanna and Uchenna, and a beautiful daughter, Nneka. Chief Obi was not only wealthy, but he was also known for his great generosity throughout the village. He was always willing to lend a helping hand to those in need. They lived in the city, but had a big mansion in the village. Tragedy struck when Chief Obi's brother passed away, leaving behind his wife, Ada, and 2 young children. After all the funeral rites had ended, Chief Obi, out of compassion, thought of what he could do for his late brother's wife, Ada, to alleviate her pains. "Perhaps I could offer Ada the keys to our mansion in the village," he said to himself. "She could stay in the boys' quarter there and take care of the compound prior to our arrival. It would provide her with a sense of responsibility and security, while also ensuring that our property is well maintained in our absence." "Obim, I'm not comfortable with these arrangements. I'm not," Olamma said to her husband. "She's still grieving, my love. We can't just abandon her in her time of need," Chief Obi replied. "Besides, it's not like we are struggling financially. We have more than enough space in our compound to accommodate her." "I understand she's grieving," Olamma continued, "but we can still support her without having her live with us. We could rent a decent apartment nearby and help her financially." "You are just being unreasonable, my dear," Chief Obi replied her. "Family comes first, and we have a responsibility to take care of our own. We can't just turn our backs on her because it's inconvenient for us." "It's not about turning our backs on her," Olamma said. "It's about finding a solution that benefits everyone involved. I just want what's best for our family, including your late brother's wife and children." After all Olamma's warning, Chief Obi remained adamant and went ahead with his plans. Before they traveled back to the city, he offered Ada and her 2 children a place to stay in the boys' quarters, beckoning on her to take good care of their compound in their absence and also to feel comfortable. He also gave them huge amounts of money for upkeep too before they departed. As months passed, Ada, feeling so entitled, began to take advantage of Chief Obi's kindness. She even moved to the main mansion and started to make herself comfortable without Chief Obi's Oftentimes, she would call Chief Obi for money, which she lavished on unnecessary things. One day, Chief Obi and his family returned from the city without notice and was bewildered at what they met. Not only did they move into the main mansion, but they met untidy environments, some destroyed properties. Ada and her kids and her friends just messed up the whole place. Chief Obi was furious. "Ada, what is happening here?" he thundered. "I gave you the keys to stay in the boys' quarter. What are you doing in my house with your friends?" he asked angrily. "Chief, I thought since the mansion was empty, it wouldn't be a problem for me and my friends to stay here. Besides, it's more comfortable for us," Ada replied. Moreover, the noise from the generator in the neighboring compound was also unbearable. "What nonsense!" Chief Obi shouted. "That wasn't the agreement. and it's important to respect boundaries. I can't have you, your children and your friends occupying the main mansion without prior arrangements. But Chief, I thought you wanted to help us, Ada said arrogantly. This mansion is just sitting here empty most of the times anyway. What harm does it make if we stay here temporarily? It's not just about the mansion being empty. It's about respecting our agreements and boundaries, Chief Obi corrected her. He asked them to move back to the boys' quarters till further notice. Olamma giggled and laughed at Chief Obi when they entered their messed up bedroom. I hate to say this, but I did warn you about this. I had a feeling something like this might happen. Chief Obi sighed. Yes, you did mention your concerns, Olamma. I should have listened to you. It's okay, Olamma said. We all make mistakes. The most important thing now is to find a solution to this situation and ensure it doesn't happen again. You are right, Olamma. I will take your advice more seriously in the future. Ada, who had grown accustomed to living in luxury, pleaded with Chief Obi to allow them to stay. She explained that she had grown attached to the mansion and it was difficult for her to leave. Chief Obi, being a kind-hearted man, decided to rent a 3-bedroom apartment for them. But Ada was not satisfied with these arrangements. She felt entitled to live in Chief Obi's mansion and was angry at being asked to leave. She didn't care about the sacrifices Chief Obi had made for her and her children, and she was determined to seek revenge. Ada made a decision to deal with Obi and his family for asking her to leave the mansion. Ada went to a native doctor and asked for help in dealing with the family. The native doctor, who was known for his malicious power, agreed to help her. He gave her a charm that would inflict pain and suffering upon the household. One evening, while Chief Obi and his family were having dinner, Nneka suddenly screamed in pain. She clutched her stomach and fell to the ground in agony. Chief Obi and his sons rushed her to the hospital, but the doctors couldn't find anything wrong with her. The following day, the same thing happened to Chief Obi's son. They all fell ill with mysterious symptoms that the doctors couldn't explain. As Chief Obi watched his children suffer, his heart was broken and they couldn't place words or where the issue came from. As they faced one challenge or another, they decided to return to the city. But still, bad news upon bad news met them at their wake. Lotanna, who was the pride of his family, became so arrogant towards his parents and started mixing up with bad gangs. He started using hard drugs that left him almost half insane. He was taken to rehabilitation home as he was a threat to all of them. Nneka, their only daughter, who was so decent and respectful, became so promiscuous that she slept with everything and anything at anywhere and anytime, bringing unfathomable shame and disgrace upon the family. She ended up becoming pregnant for God knows who. The embarrassment was too much on the family. Olamma would cry herself to sleep most times. Uchenna, their last son, was kind of exempted because of his strong faith in God. He was a member of the charismatic movement organization in his school. Though he still struggles and things were not moving smoothly for him, still he held his God high. Chief Obi's business started to depreciate. One day, as Chief Obi made his way to his office, he received a call from his financial manager that the stock market had crashed and his investment had tanked. His companies were losing money and there seemed to be no end in sight. Chief Obi's heart sank as he listened to the grim news. He had worked hard to build his empire and had always been careful with his investments. But now, in a matter of days, it seemed like everything was about to crumble. As the day went by, Chief Obi's health began to deteriorate. He was constantly stressed and worried about his businesses and the future of his family. He would spend sleepless nights trying to come up with solutions to save his company. But no matter how hard he tried, the situation only seemed to get worse. One day, while at a meeting with his business partners, Chief Obi suddenly collapsed. His employees rushed him to the hospital, where the doctors diagnosed him with a heart attack. Days later, Chief Obi passed on. The news of his demise was like a bomb blast to the hearts of some of the villagers. They all mourned Chief Obi with heavy hearts. Olamma is left to grieve the loss of her husband and the collapse of their once thriving business. Her world was shattered before her eyes. They moved back to the village for mourning. Ada was always there for them all the time, helping them out in so many things. Few months later, Olamma's leg began to swell, leaving her bedridden. She was constantly in excruciating pains, and most times she would cry herself to sleep. Uchenna, her son, knew that it wasn't ordinary and decided to make a move. He arranged for a powerful man of God to come to their home for prayers and deliverance. He believed it was the best course of action to rid their household of the mysterious troubles and bring peace back into their lives. Days later, the man of God arrived. In the middle of the prayers, the floor in the middle of their compound crackled, and a calabash emerged beneath the floor, containing breeding and live tortoise, with other fetish items. They were all scared, but the man of God continued praying. Fear not, for the power of the Almighty is greater than any darkness or evil that may try to manifest itself. The man of God continues praying fervently, invoking the divine powers to banish the malevolent forces from the household. Despite the fear and unease gripping everyone present, they find strength in the man of God's unwavering faith and determination. As the prayers intensify, the atmosphere begins to change, and the presence of the tortoise within the calabash gradually weakens. Finally, with a burst of light, the calabash shatters and the tortoise disappears. Suddenly, Ada is seen running into the compound, shouting, "Fire! Fire! Fire is burning me! I will confess! I will confess!" She began to confess to being the mastermind behind all their suffering because they asked her to leave the mansion. That the plan was to eradicate them all from the face of the earth. Olamma was dumbfounded. "Ada, I can't believe it. After all we did for you, so you were the one behind all of our suffering. How could you betray our trust like this? You killed my husband." Olamma cried bitterly. "I am sorry, Olamma. I was consumed by anger and resentment, and I made a terrible mistake. But why, Ada? We took you in, treated you like family, and this is how you repay us?" Ada continued to plead until a force enveloped her. With a loud cry of help, she passed out on the floor and died. The man of God continued singing and thanking God for delivering his children. Olamma and Uchenna were grateful. They thanked the man of God, for he had brought light into their darkness and restored hope in their hearts. All glory belongs to the Almighty God. He has shown his mercy and power once again. Remain steadfast in your faith, and may his protection continue to surround you, the man of God said. Ada's remains was later buried like a chicken. No one in the village shed a single tear for her. The whole villagers spit at the mention of her name. Days later, Olamma's health was restored and she began to walk again. Her children were delivered from the forces holding them, and they all wept for their actions. Olamma consoled them that it was never their fault, that the devil came to destroy, but that God had delivered them and set them free. This story exposes us to the darkness that lurks in human heart. Charity is good, but one needs to be careful when extending charity. Sometimes it is better to help people at arm's length. While generosity and compassion are virtues to be valued, it is equally important to safeguard oneself and one's loved ones from potential harms. This involves exercising discernment, setting boundaries, and being vigilant against potential threats or manipulations. The world is full of evil, so guide your space jealously. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. Like and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our amazing stories. Bye.